Hello, friends. Matt Murphy and the Matt Murphy Radio Show entering hour number 4. Thank you for being with us. 8 minutes past 6 o'clock in Middle Tennessee time. Wherever you might be throughout Middle Tennessee, from Kentucky to Alabama and all points in between, you can hear us on 99.7 FM. You can also find us on TuneIn, Spotify, iHeart, and a variety of different applications. Download our own app, SuperTalk 99.7 WTN, and take us wherever you go. And then, of course, there's Talk TV for you masochists and the listening audience that want to watch me as we do this. By all means, 615-737-9986. That's the way to get a hold of the show, either via the telephone lines where several people are holding, or on the super text line where many of you are chiming in. I blame Ken Weaver for it all. I blame him for it all.
For what?
Well, because during your newscast, I went back and watched that scene. On my I regret it.
Yeah, that's quite disturbing.
That's a tough watch if you've never seen it. I've never seen the entire movie. I've seen the first one, Silence of the Lambs, but I've never seen any of the subsequent films.
I think I saw the whole movie. I just can't remember it, but I do remember that scene.
Oh boy, it was a lovely dinner.
Oh yes, it was.
It was a lovely dinner.
Yes, candlelight.
Oh yeah. And very nice music.
Oh, yes.
In the background. And it's my understanding that everything was cooked to perfection.
Yeah.
At least there were no complaints from Ray Liotta.
No, Ray Liotta loved it. He was having a good old time.
Oh, sure he was. He was having a fine time.
He was laughing.
Mm-hmm. I did look up, too, it is not medically possible.
You can't do that?
No, they say that that if there would be extreme pain because the brain doesn't experience pain, but everything around the brain, the skull and all of that. So there's a belief that you could not experience those things. And then if you took the next step, that Ray Liotta would probably just fall over because he'd lose his ability to talk. So there you go. Well, but hey, look,
that's what they make movies for.
You got to take some liberties if you want to make brain-eating movie magic. And there you go. It's brain food. That's funny, 3347. I hear you over there. So Super Talk 99.7 WTN, that's us. I'm probably, at this point, 50%. I'm trying to make it through the day, make it through the week. A little under the weather, so I appreciate you indulging us. We're trying to get Carrie Bringle on the show. I can't read my own writing. I don't know if it's Carrie or Casey. I think it's Carrie, who is with Peg Leg Porker. He's the owner of Peg Leg Porker. I saw him on a report from Fox 17 where he is very, very frustrated with the level of property taxes in the city of Nashville. And he brings up such an excellent point that it seems like the city of Nashville and Davidson County by extension, they are pricing the local guy, they're pricing the little guy out of the city. And he says that his property taxes have gone up since 2013, that's 12 years, friends, have gone up 800%. 800% in 13, or I guess 12 years, not yet 13 years. So we'll follow up on the property tax increases in Davidson County this hour. What's his name, Mamdani? I forget his first name. The soon-to-be new mayor of New York, he was on Fox News with Martha McCallum, and we will share some of that with you. And Bernie and AOC were on hashtag #NeverCNN last night, and I got a couple of those clips for you as well. Plus, I promised you a follow-up on the Attorney General candidate, Jay Jones. This is the guy that did these awful fantasy text messages where he was hoping for the death of Republicans and their children, and it's just the most awful thing you can imagine. And he verbalized it via text message. That has now come out. Well, there's a debate going on right now between himself and his opponent in that Virginia Attorney General's race, and we'll give you an update on that as well. But first, your telephone call, 615-737-9986. Ricky has been patiently holding in Watertown. Hello, Ricky.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm great, Ricky. I hope you are.
Yes, I am. The change to the filibuster rule, are you going to bring that up to Senator Blackburn or another Republican senator? That is an excellent idea. Well, the Democrats ain't going to stay there long enough, and they can't pack enough Geraldton in there to get them through the wait.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Ricky, I will be at an event this Sunday where it's Jack Johnson's barbecue blue jeans event in Franklin at the factory, and I will see Senator Marsha Blackburn and Senator Bill Hagerty at that event, and I'm going to bring it up to both of those senators.
No, it is an excellent idea.
Well, thank you.
Excellent.
Well, hopefully they'll take us up because you're right. The Democrats do not have the courage of their convictions to actually follow through and stay in town and commit to an actual filibuster.
Hey, if they pass that, you could walk around like a conquered walk.
Well, I'd love to see it happen, and it's not without precedent that you require the members to be present and on the floor and actually debating. So let's see what they say about it. But I think it's a good idea, and I think it's a good compromise. If you're just joining us, and Ricky, thank you for the call. My concept to break this filibuster, because I do not believe that you should pull the trigger on the nuclear option. The nuclear option would be to change the rules of the Senate by a majority vote to allow a simple majority to invoke cloture on a bill. And it would essentially eliminate the filibuster forever from the United States Senate. I do not believe that we should go that far. However, up until 1975, to invoke cloture required a 2/3 majority of members present. Well, it was changed to 3/5 in 1975, but they changed it from members present to members voting or members sworn in. That means that these members could be anywhere. They could be overseas. They could be outside of the country. They could be outside of the D.C. area, back in their home districts, wherever. And if they're a member and they're a voting member, they would apply to the threshold of 60 votes. What I've said is change it from 3/5 members sworn to 3/5 members present, meaning they have to be, if not in the chamber, then at very least on hand when a vote is called, to be there to actually vote in favor or against cloture. That would change everything because it would actually force the senators to do the work. Jimmy is next up with a thought about the military. Is this Mr. Jimmy?
Yes, sir. How are you doing, sir?
How you doing? I'm good, thank you.
Good. So I don't know if, because where I'm with the National Guard, information was put out to us today for soldiers, active duty and National Guard, for those soldiers that need help with meals and foods. I was wanting to give you that information to help push that out towards both sides.
Well, 100%, of course. Go right ahead.
All right. So the website is militarymeals.org. And again, that's for active duty and National Guard across the entire country.
Say it again now.
militarymeals.org.
Okay.
And so they would have to log in with their military IDs and stuff like that, and it's self-explanatory for them and their families.
Militarymeals.org.
Yes, sir.
I've got it.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Well, Jimmy, thank you very much. I mean, obviously, if there's anybody suffering out there as a result of a lack of payment, one would hope that it would not impact you to that level yet. But it's my understanding that many of our men and women in service are, living paycheck to paycheck, and they could be impacted quite quickly. It's also my understanding that, many credit card companies and other organizations are sensitive to the idea of being impacted by the shutdown. And if you're a member of the United States, here's what I would encourage you to do. Before it gets to the point, and that's good information from Jimmy, and he was not our Mr. Jimmy, as most of you well know. He was a different Jimmy, but a Mr. Jimmy nonetheless, just not our guy. That said, before it gets to that point, as good of an information source as that is, I would contact, if you have a fear that you're not going to be able to make the rent at the end of the month, or you're not going to be able to make a mortgage payment at the end of the month, or a credit card payment at the end of the month, before you use any expendable money that you still have on hand to do those things, contact those organizations, because most organizations have systems in place where they can forgive you any late payments or forgive you any penalty payments as a result of late payment. And it's my understanding that most organizations will work with you, especially if you're in law enforcement or part of the military or part of the federal government, or frankly, even a contractor with the government, and you're not getting paid. The vast majority of organizations that I've heard about, that I've done any research on in past shutdowns and certainly present shutdown, they are willing to work with you. And I'll say this. If you find an organization that's not willing to work with you, if it be a rental agency or a credit card company or whatever it might be, you call me and you tell me about that organization, because I'd love to hear from you on that front, because we would love to expose those folks. Is that Kerry Bringle? Well, make sure. Oh, my goodness gracious. That's awesome. So I would love to hear from him. He is the owner of Peg Leg Porker, which have you ever eaten a Peg Leg Porker?
I have not.
Holy shnikes. Jackson, how long you been here, son?
Long time.
Got to get you over there. It is tip top. And I have to take a quick time out, but tell Kerry we'll get to him in just a moment, because he makes such a great point on the issue of taxation in the city of Nashville. They're taxing the little guy out of the city. They're forcing the hand of the little guy, and someone needs to stand up for these folks. And here Kerry is. Great to hear from him. We'll get to him in a moment. It's 20 after the hour on Super Talk. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, ask and ye shall receive. I love this guy without ever having met him. His name is Kerry Bringle. He is the owner of Peg Leg Porker. What a great man. If y'all have not, it is real Tennessee barbecue, and it is real good. And I'm not here just to praise the man, although I'm going to do so, but I'm here to talk about a very serious issue, and that's property taxes in the city of Nashville. Kerry, thanks for calling in, man. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing just fine. I appreciate you spending a minute or two of your valuable time with us to talk about this issue. I saw you over, I guess it was on Fox 17, talking about property taxes, and we've talked about some of these businesses like yours that are suffering as a result. And I said months ago, Kerry, that I said, y'all, when these businesses get hit, they're going to have to pass it along to you, or they're going to have to make some very hard decisions about their future in Nashville. And I think that's what you've been talking about too, huh?
Well, I talked about this 4 or 5 years ago when Cooper did this in the middle of the pandemic with a 32 and 34% property tax increase in the rate. And that was it was Cooper and the city council. And I wrote a big letter that went viral. It had about 1 million views, and it was because it resonated with people who really didn't understand that businesses are getting just creamed with these taxes. Mine have gone from $9,900 in 2013, 14, and 15 up to now they're going to be $86,000 with the new assessment. And that's, that's 2 part-time people or maybe even 2 full-time people. It's unsustainable. And I'm not even getting hit as hard as the folks down on Broadway. And I'm not talking about the new corporate, places on Broadway. I'm talking about the folks that were the pioneers that were down there when nobody else was down there, like Layla with Layla's, Robert's Western World. Those guys are getting hit with tax bills of $500,000 plus, which is insane.
Well, it is insane, Kerry, and I feel like some of this conversation falls on deaf ears when it gets to the mayor's office. We've had him on, Mayor O'Connell. Look, I always say, seems like a nice guy. He's a nice guy to have a beer with, but, my grandmother was a nice person, and I wouldn't want her to be mayor of Nashville either, right? So I'm not knocking him personally, but do you think he's aware of the impact that he's having on small business in this community, the decision-making process that led to these tax increases?
Freddie is well aware. I know Freddie. I served on the GBID with him, the Gulch Business Improvement District. Freddie's a nice guy, but, it is falling on deaf ears. Freddie, a bunch of business leaders wrote letters to him several weeks ago about NDOT and about the lane closures, the bike lanes, the crosswalks, all this that's impacting business, the zones that they've now put in downtown, the increased fines with this. NDOT is a disaster. A lot of business owners wrote Freddie letters about it. His chief of staff took it in there. They got in a fight about it, and she ended up leaving because she just couldn't take that he wouldn't listen. And at least that's what I heard. So I don't, I was one that wrote a letter, but he's not listening to what we have to say. This is Cooper 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
Freddie is a nice guy personally. This is not anything against him. And our city council is complicit in this as well.
That's right.
But it's not sustainable. I said it in my letter 5 years ago that we were going to lose some very valuable Nashville landmarks. And sure enough, we lost about 5 or 10 of them, at least, at a minimum. That's what we lost. And it's not sustainable. It's just, you can't continue to do this to business owners and property owners, personal property owners knew that theirs went up a couple $100, maybe $1,000, but they didn't know what we were facing as business owners until I really pointed it out to people. And that's what I'm trying to do is say, hey, look, we don't want to increase our prices. We don't want to put this back on you, but we don't have much of a choice because this is what the city has done.
Well, and what I don't mean to interrupt you, Kerry, but what frustrates me when I talk to these politicians about it, they pretend or they act like, oh, well, the business just absorbs the cost of this. No, somebody like Kerry Bringle, you're working on margins where it forces you, and you pointed it out at the beginning. Now, I don't mean to tell you your business, but you tell me you have to make decisions about whether to hire somebody, whether not to hire somebody, whether to go up on prices. You have to figure out how to pay for it somehow.
100% you do. And, I get a lot of 90 to 5% to 99% of the feedback that I've gotten from the interview I did 2 days ago was positive. But you got the haters in there that say, well, your property has gone up, exponentially, and you can afford it. And, I had somebody who actually works for the state get on there and make a comment that said, well, that's only $250 more per day. Well, no, that's I got to make an extra $1,000 a day to make $250 in profit.
Right.
That then I got to turn over and hand over to the city. I mean, that's insane. And so these people are looking at and I don't make a profit off my building unless I sell my building. And if the city has siphoned off all of the profits that I would made for speculating in that neighborhood and investing millions and creating jobs for all these people, then I don't have any profit when I do end up selling my business because the city has taken all that profit away.
Mm-hmm. What happens? I mean, I hate to be fatalist about this, but I feel I've only been here for 4.5 years, Kerry. And I'm relatively new to the city, but I love this place so much. It's got so much value, and I love these old school places and these people like yourself that have made the fabric of Nashville what it is. And what I'm afraid of is it's going to drive guys like you out of business, and we're left with corporatized America that don't know Nashville from a hole in the ground.
That's exactly what it'll do. And, we're popular. We do a good business. We're able to pay without it putting us out of business. But, I'm the exception to the rule in the fact that we're nationally known and we get a lot of, people that come as a destination to Peg Leg Porker. But your general mom and pop business that's been operating here in Nashville for 20, 30, 40 years, they may not have that following. And they can't absorb those costs. And they may be trying to feed 2 or 3 family members or 4 or 5 family members out of that business. And they've been able to sustain it for a while. But now, when these property values go through the roof and they haven't changed a thing that they're doing or the use of their property or their revenues have not necessarily gone up and they're getting hit with these kind of things, it's not sustainable. It's not okay. It will totally alter the fabric of Nashville, and really the people that drew the big businesses here in the first place are going to be gone. So the thing that attracted all these people to Nashville in the first place are all under fire right now, and could be gone in the next several months because of stuff like this. And it's just a shame that this is the route our city has chosen, instead of balancing a budget and maybe spending below our means.
Amen.
That we have decided to just level it onto the small businessman, while we give. And I'm all for big business coming here, but we're giving them massive tax breaks.
Yep.
And the small business people that built this city are getting none. When I first went into the Gulch, it was a dump. I mean, people looked at me, my family looked at me and said, "Are you crazy?" And people say, "Well, the city built the Gulch." No, they did not. Market Street Properties, Jay Turner, Joe Barker, they built the Gulch. Linus from Yazoo Brewing, he built the Gulch. I built the Gulch because we took chances and we dumped millions of dollars into it when nobody else was willing to do it. And now we're getting punished for the prosperity that we've helped bring to our city.
From your lips to God's ears, Kerry, thank you so much for speaking up for the small business owner in this city and for speaking the truth. And I hope that it gets to, we're going to try to do our part. If there's anything we can do for you, I got a lot of people telling me they're door dashing you, buddy. Right now, they're getting some food from Peg Leg to try to support you and other small businesses in the city of Nashville that are suffering as a result. What else can we do? Anything?
Well, no, I appreciate it. If the people will stand up and make their voice heard, call your councilman, call the mayor's office, make your voice heard, go support local businesses. Our customers are family to us, and they mean the world. We wouldn't be here without the people that have supported us for the last 12 years, and we appreciate that, and we're going to keep on grinding out. We're going to keep on fighting the city so that we can stick around. This is not a pull up stakes and move out of town type of thing. This is our town, and we don't need to be run out of our own town.
Well, I have a feeling, Kerry, that you and Peg Leg Porker are going, and hopefully Matt Murphy, you're going to be around a hell of a lot longer than Freddie O'Connell.
We hope so, Matt. Thank you very
much. All
much.
right, brother. Thank you, man. Thank you for calling in. There's Kerry Bringle calling in, the owner of Peg Leg Porker, and that's a great business establishment. One of the local folks, I hadn't been here very long. They said, man, if you want barbecue, the place to go is out there. And this is not necessarily to promote Kerry and his business, but it is to say that he's willing to speak out about the impact that these taxes have on business. I am incredibly late for the news, and I apologize to Ken Weaver, but I appreciate Kerry Bringle for calling in. Your thoughts on this coming up in a moment at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, a robust conversation ongoing on a variety of platforms regarding our conversation with Kerry Bringle, the owner of Peg Leg Porker. Folks, the free market gets affected dramatically when government interferes with the said free market. And property values obviously are what they are. But when you're talking about property taxes going from $9,900 to $86,000 in 12 years, you expect an increase. And obviously that increase is in part due to the values of the property in the Gulch. I've been to Peg Leg Porker in the Gulch. It's great. Absolutely fabulous. And I understand an increase in value means an increase in the amount of property taxes you're going to pay. But when the city begins heaping tax upon tax upon tax, it's going to impact the ability of a business to stay open. It is a component of doing business. And 10 years from now, folks will go, well, what happened to Arnold's? Or what happened to Peg Leg Porker? Or what happened to this place or that place? Man, we used to have local places around here. Now we just got Taco Bell. These types of things have an impact. And if the city goes about killing the golden goose that made Nashville the it community that it has been for the last 15 years, There's nothing saying that Nashville doesn't become some of these other blue dots that become deserts in the downtown community. What was Nashville like in the late 80s and early 1990s? Y'all tell me. There's nothing preventing it from becoming that again if you don't maintain this with a careful balance. Obviously, it costs money to mitigate crime. It costs money to pave roads. It costs money to upkeep infrastructure necessary to keep the tourism dollars coming, to keep the businesses open. We all get that. And that money is paid through taxpayer dollars. But when the city will not manage its budget in a way that prevents a business to be overexposed through taxation, those businesses close down. That's the reality of the free market. Matt is next. Hey, Matt, how are you?
Hey, Matt, how you doing? Long time I haven't talked to you.
Well, I'm glad you're here, brother. How are you? What's going on?
You know what? Two things. One, I guess you have to vote better your representatives so you won't have this problem. I mean, the only thing we can do is vote these people out and put some new people in and to correct it, because if you keep voting the same people in, you're going to have this problem. But my main question that I called you today is I've heard Bolton, get all these indicted charges, whatnot. And my question is, do you believe that what you do to one, you should do to all? Because I really find it hypocritical that Donald Trump had 3 federal cases pending, and yet he wins the presidency and all of them drop. Now, I'm sorry, but it's the people versus Donald Trump. And if you should be able to face your accuser, we should go to trial. We should have a jury. And we should have a verdict.
No one forced those cases to be dropped.
Okay, so you know that those do not have a statute of limitations, so they can get picked up.
Well, I intimately know about all of the cases, and I know that they were flimsy at best, and they were brought because of a without getting into that, who forced these? Did anybody force the cases to be dropped?
Well, that's a very good point, but we do know that the people that were going to be the pick of Trump, of that administration, said they weren't picking them up. So my thing is, what good does the law do me if I have a problem with you and you have a friend that's not going to do the due process?
Wait.
So, and why?
Wait. No. So no one's above the law, right? If you violate the law, then charges should be brought up against you. Are you suggesting that somewhere exterior to the law that someone involved in these cases dropped the case, not because the cases could not be won, or not because they decided that they did not have the evidence to bring before a jury or before a trial court, but because of some sort of undue? I would love to hear that story if that's the case.
Yeah, of course. Pat Bondi said the same thing. Kash Patel said the same thing. They're not prosecuting. But my question is, if you have nothing to hide, and here's the thing. If Trump would have turned around and said, hey, give me the cases, I'm going to get my lawyers, and then I'm going to win. And if he turns around and goes through the process and wins, he wins every vote in this country.
Wait, just tell me out of the 4, the Florida case, the Georgia case, the D.C. case, tell me the one that you believe was most damning, was most winnable by the prosecutors. I'm trying to boil it down to one, because you have to talk about specific. Right. These were not winnable cases, in my opinion, Matt.
Okay, if the winnable case was the one in the documents case. That's because it didn't have to get to that point. You can't ask somebody for a year for things, and you just stonewall.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and all he had to do was give it to him. That's it. Just give it to him, and then we wouldn't even be here.
All right. So based on your knowledge, Matt, of the documents case in Florida, what would have been an appropriate punishment for Donald Trump?
No, I don't need a punishment.
No. No. That's what we. So what would have been an appropriate adjudication of that case?
Well, of course I'm not going to send him to jail. I mean, he's 78 years old. He's no threat.
Okay.
Prison is supposed to be for dangerous criminals.
Okay.
No. But I think that it would turn around. My thing was to put it out there that this man did a wrongful action and is being held accountable. Now,
wait, you've decided? No. You in the American system of justice, just because Matt decides that what he did was illegal doesn't mean that we work off one guy's decision that he thinks it was illegal. It has to go through the process.
No, I understand that. That's why you have a jury. And your jury would have made that decision, not me. But at least I have the opportunity to take you there.
And the same offices that brought the case dropped the case.
Again, when you have a difference of an administration who's not going to bring the case and who bragged about it, then I'm not going to get that justice, right? Until after you. And again, let me ask you this.
Right. So wait a minute. So the people elected Donald Trump, understanding that these cases were under consideration. Also under, and I got to be quick. I don't want to be quick, but I'm limited on time. Also understanding that if they do elect Donald Trump, that new eyeballs will come to those cases, and if they deem that these are not prosecutable cases, then they are within their right to drop the cases, which is what happened. Tell me what's operating exterior to the way the law is supposed to work.
The difference is that when you have one administration to start that process, then you get your people in, and now the process ends.
Wait, but your suggestion is that it wasn't tainted at the beginning, that it was not brought for political purposes in the beginning. And I would suggest to you that the tree was poisoned there. Not when Donald Trump got elected, and not when new prosecutors looked at the case. The case was poisoned because it was brought to begin with, as opposed to being adjudicated in the same fashion that Mike Pence was, in the same fashion that Barack Obama was, in the same fashion that Joe Biden was. 3 separate examples of former presidents or vice presidents who took classified materials with them and eventually turned that classified material back over to the National Archives, just to use the one, what you called the best case example in Florida. I got to go. I would love to continue the conversation tomorrow, Matt. Call me back and we can have this discussion, but I can't have it right now because Jackson says time is our enemy. It's 53 after the hour. Well, I guess that's going to do it. With apologies to Terry and Robert, can't get to you. Obviously, no time, because we're approaching the top of the hour, and that means Mark Levin is on the way. I've loved it, although I remember only about half of it. I hope you have as well. Thank you for participating on a variety of platforms, and I appreciate talking to each and every one of you. It's a First Amendment Freestyle Friday edition tomorrow, to include Fry J, happening at 4 o'clock. Until then, for young Jackson Williams, for Ken Weaver and the rest of the crew, have a great evening. Hug your loved ones. So long, everybody.